Welcome back to the Out of Bounds podcast. My name is Gavin Williams alongside
Charlie Caleri.
And how are we doing today, folks? First week of football is underway. It was a good week, but not for fantasy football.
Fantasy football at all.
Just want to point that out. Wow. But so today we're going to get us started off with a recap about our predictions and all the games. So, Charles, if you want to start us off on the Thursday night game with the Lions and the Chiefs.
Yeah, so, honestly, to start off the year, sometimes you get some pretty boring games, but I feel like this was a pretty good game to start off the year. I mean, the Lions obviously coming out as winners, shocked, I don't want to say the world, but shocked a lot of people winning that game, especially going into Arrowhead, Super Bowl champs. They put down the banner, Lombardi, all that. Went in there, won by a point. Doesn't matter if you win by 1 point, 40 points. Still won the game. So, great game by the Lions there. Gritty win. That's going to be the Lions football this season. And for the Chiefs, for me, they just didn't do enough, man. I know they didn't have Kelsey, but Mahomes didn't look great. I know a lot of drops by the receivers, but if you're the best quarterback in the league, I feel like you should be able to make up for those few misses and really propel your team to a victory.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was not the man to say it was a good game. I thought it was very sloppy. I liked the more of a defensive side. I liked seeing Patrick Mahomes throw a pick six. That was awesome. And just seeing that the defense, especially for the Detroit Lions, with seeing Aiden Hutchinson come off the line every single time and to have somewhat pressure on Patrick Mahomes every possession was awesome. But the thing that I would like to point out that I said last episode, if your coach cries for your team, I'm betting on that guy every game. I didn't bet on him last game, but we will this week. But we'll get into that further on.
I mean, it was just a great game to start the year.
Yeah.
I mean, in general. I mean, like you said, Aiden Hutchinson, my guy. I think week one, and I'll mention this a little bit in the other games, but I think a lot of week one is just how much heart a team has, and the Lions just had more heart than the Chiefs, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about a team who doesn't have a lot of heart later on.
We will.
So, Charlie, you're going to start us off today. We have the Panthers at the Falcons. What do you got for us?
Yeah, it was definitely a football game. Falcons won 24-10, and all I'll say is that Bryce Young on the Panther side looked like a rookie QB. Simple as that. I mean, 146 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. That's a pretty standard line for a first game in the league for a rookie QB, especially, first pick. You might expect a little bit more, but, got to get those kinks out of the way. On the Falcons side, Desmond Ridder looked pretty good. Only 3 incompletions the whole game. He only threw for 115 passing yards, but that's all they need in that offense. Tyler Algier picked off right where he was last year, and Bijan Robinson had an unreal game. If they can get Drake London going in that offense, he had 0 receptions and 0 yards. He just did not look great. I couldn't get the ball to him. I don't know if Ridder even really wanted to force the ball to him because he wasn't really getting open, but Falcons still came away with the dub. That's a big divisional game for them, especially in a close NFC South.
Yeah, I think the Falcons can really prove themselves in that division. But going on, I am going to cover the Texans at the Ravens, which was a closer game than some people thought. And with this game, I saw a lot of Zay Flowers, but I did not see a lot of Odell. Odell had only 2 catches for 37 yards. And what many people were going to think was going to be Lamar Jackson's new weapon of choice. And the final score was only 25-9. It wasn't a great game. Only field goals for the Texans. 1 touchdown score in the whole game by Dobbins, and Dobbins is out for the season now. So
I feel bad. I feel really bad for that guy. He's a great running back when he's healthy, and his career's been riddled by injury so far. So speedy recovery for J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, absolutely. He can't catch a break. I feel bad, but yeah, wasn't the greatest game. Ravens got the dub. Texans 0-1 in the division. And now moving on to another side of the AFC ball, we're going to go to the Bengals at the Browns, in which was a very surprising game, especially for me because I have Joe Burrow as a quarterback in my fantasy football team. 3 points, Joe Burrow. Come on. What are we doing? But, I mean, I think the Browns had a great game defensively. They were all over Burrow, causing him to throw bad passes. And T. Higgins didn't even touch the ball once. I thought that was crazy. And overall, just a completely dominated game by the Browns' D-line. They suffocated the O-line of the Bengals, and seeing a lot of familiar faces like Myles Garrett pressuring him every time. I saw a highlight that he was doing a crossover before the snap. It was crazy. Look it up on ESPN. He was doing a crossover before the ball was snapped. And a new face for the Browns that really helped out was Zadarius Smith. I love me some Z, Packers legend. But, yeah, I think the Browns won 24-3 in this one. And I think the Bengals will be back, but it was a great statement win for the NFC North Browns. Oh, AFC North Browns.
Yeah, I mean, tough game for the Bengals. I got Jaguars at Colts here. This was surprisingly one of the better games of the week. Jaguars coming out with the win, 31-21, but they were down going into the fourth. They were down 21-17 going into the fourth quarter. Anthony Richardson looked really good. I would say he probably had the best rookie quarterback performance of the week.
Yep.
Maybe besides Sam Howell, but we'll get to him. Sam Howell played a pretty good game, but he led the team in obviously passing. He led them in rushing as well. I mean, I thought that was really interesting. Michael Pittman Jr., 8 receptions, 97 yards for a touchdown. That's a really good stat line, especially in that offense.
And I have him on fantasy, so nice job, MJ.
Calvin Ridley, very similar stat line on the other side, 8 receptions, 101 yards for a touchdown. Jaguars started off really slow. You can tell that it's a young team. They're a good young team, but you can tell that, they kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit. They didn't start at 100%. They kind of eased their way into the game, but still find a way to win. That's how good teams play. This Jags team is going to be pretty exciting this year, but I also think that the Colts are going to be pretty exciting this year. I think they could knock off a few teams, and, that's going to be a key for the Colts this year. If they can get those few wins just to build the momentum for that organization going forward in the future with this young core, they're going to be looking pretty good for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the stories of that game was Calvin Ridley coming back. Moving on to the Bucs at the Vikings. Wow. How do you have Justin Jefferson having 9 catches for 150 yards and find a way to lose that game? That's a joke from the Minnesota Vikings, an absolute joke. But I want to give credit to Baker Mayfield for leading his team to win. He had Mike Evans, and Mike Evans played a great game. And Mike Evans had a really awesome touchdown for that Buccaneers team who's hungry. I mean, everybody's predicting them. I mean, I'm even predicting them to be last. And the fact that the Bucs got this Week 1 victory away in Minnesota, it's a big win for the Bucs and a horrible loss for the Vikings.
Totally agree. I mean, the Vikings just need to play better, man. That's simple as that. You can't lose that game, especially because we'll talk about it, but you're playing the Eagles Week 2. Some teams act like they don't know who they're playing Week 2. You know when you're playing the Eagles Week 2. So getting a loss there, I mean, potentially starting off 0-2 is just not what you want to do, especially when you know that you have another team like the Lions that beat up on the Super Bowl champions in your division. They're ahead of you right now. Simple as that. Another game that was kind of interesting this week, better than we all thought, was Titans at Saints. 1-point game. Just interesting football for sure. Saints coming out with the dub here, 16-15. Derek Carr, really good game. Really good bounce back game for him. Threw for over 300 yards, one of the only quarterbacks to do that this week. Ryan Tannehill, 3 picks. 3 picks. That's what I see. It's just the Titans they look like the Titans of old, but they just look a little bit worse.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. I mean, the Saints, they look young and exciting. Chris Olave looks electric.
Yeah.
Jamal Williams, decent game, 18 carries, 45 yards. It's a normal stat line for him.
Love that man.
The Saints are going to be – that's a big win for the Saints there. It was close right at the end. A lot of situational football that was a little bit questionable, but Saints in that division, big win, especially with the Falcons winning this week.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great finish from Derek Carr, especially on that last drive. Moving on to the 49ers at the Steelers, which many thought was going to be a blowout, and it sure was. Final score of this one was 30-17. Final score of this one was 30-7. And one of the things that impacted this game so much was the 49ers' fast start and Kenny Pickett's bad game. I mean, I was watching this game. Kenny Pickett threw a ball to George Pickens, and what would have been an amazing catch, but was just out of bounds. It was a left-handed grab, but it's one of those highlights where they put on ESPN and was like, oh, what if this counted? Well, it sure didn't, and they got their butts handed to them.
The next game on the slate was a interesting game once again. Cardinals at Commanders.
Wow.
And let me just say, this game was way better than I thought it was going to be. Sam Howell, 200 yards passing for a guy that essentially came out of nowhere and just was thrown into the starter spot. I mean, props to him. He looks to be having the start of a pretty decent season for them. And, Terry McLaurin not as involved as I thought he was going to be. He wasn't even their leading receiver. That was Curtis Samuel. But I think the story of the game was how much they utilized Brian Robinson.
Yeah. 19
carries. I think Antonio Gibson had less than 5. I mean, that's a big difference between what we thought it was going to be more of a 50-50. But the Cardinals on the other side, James Conner looked pretty decent. Ryan Moore looked decent. Josh Dobbs looked kind of decent. But it's just, at the end of the day, it was too little too late for the Cardinals. And Commanders their fans look into it again after the ownership change, everything like that. So good things might be coming in Washington.
Yeah, definitely. Now moving on.
Your team.
To the NFC North rivalry, Packers at Bears. I just want to say I'm so proud. Go Pack Go. Jordan Love, 245 yards, 3 touchdowns. Romeo Dobbs, 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, 2 touchdowns. Quay Walker, pick 6. What a game this was, with a lot of people giving a lot of hype into the Chicago Bears and Justin Fields. And the Packers walked right into Soldier Field, shut all those talks down. There was a lot of momentum in this game that kept the Packers going, especially with an interception late, but also a fumble later in the game too from Justin Fields. And Justin Fields was using a lot with his legs, but something I just want to point out was DJ Moore, who had a catch in the preseason, which was his first catch as a Chicago Bear. They took to the house. Everybody put that highlight on replay and said this is going to be the Chicago Bears offense, and I saw 2 catches by DJ Moore for only 25 yards. That is the story of the game. That's Jaire Alexander being Jaire. Especially with Jaire coming off a season which he had a good year, going back, and he was causing some havoc in this game. Justin Fields is running to the sideline, still in bounds. Jaire knocks him, not over, but knocks him out of bounds. Starts a little scram, gets some good old Packer-Bear rivalry action. I loved this game. The Packers played a great game, especially with Quay Walker, who I want to mention. Quay Walker was the guy in the Lions-Packers game, last game of the season last year, who had a personal foul, and he was ejected for pushing a trainer over. I mean, to turn that into a pick 6 late in the game, that was the dagger. I couldn't be more happy for the young kid. It's only his second year. And I was really proud of how the defense played. The final score was 38-20, but in reality it was 38-14. It was garbage points in the end, but go Pack Go, 1-0, have a day.
Next up, we got an AFC West matchup here. Another really close game, 17-16. Raiders come out on top over Denver. Let me say this on Denver's side real quick. No Jerry Jeudy really hurt them. Let me just say that. Cortland Sutton doesn't look good. I know he's a little banged up too, though. Their leading receiver was Samaje Perine. That can't happen in a game, especially in a divisional game against a team like the Raiders, who aren't supposed to be great this year, but they showed flashes of being pretty decent this year. Mr. Unlimited, Russell Wilson, he looked really good, honestly, really good. 27 for 34, 177 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. No picks, no mistakes for him. he looked settled in. He looked comfortable with Sean Payton back there. And let me just mention this: the onside kick to start the season.
Love it.
Incredible move.
Love it.
They were 1 yard short of turning that game around.
And
I know it was right at the beginning, but that's a big swing play. They were practicing that all week, but they were 1 yard short. That was a gutsy play by the Denver Broncos.
And Sean Payton is not scared of the onside kick. He did it in the Super Bowl against Peyton Manning with the Saints, and now he does it week 1 to start the whole season off. I love it.
Yeah, I love it, especially after coming back into coaching, and that's your first play. That's incredible. On the Vegas side now, Jimmy Garoppolo also looked pretty good. He threw for 200 yards exactly, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Josh Jacobs, he looked pretty good. Not as good as we would normally say, but Jacoby Myers, 9 receptions, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns. Has he found his groove with the team now?
I think he has.
He looked pretty good. He looked big. He looked like he put in some work in the offseason.
He's a Raiders fan. He threw the game to them last year.
That is true. Now. That is true. Yeah, but the Raiders looked pretty decent. That was a good game to watch, and that's a big win for the Raiders right there. It's really going to propel them in the right direction, I think. Moving on now to what we have collectively as the game of the week. It was the Dolphins winning 36-34 over the Los Angeles Chargers. And I'm looking at the box score of this game right now. There was only one time in this game out of all of these points that were scored that a team scored back-to-back times. And it was when the Dolphins tied the game at 7 and then took a 10-7 lead.
Yeah, that's
After that, it was all back and forth, back and forth. Story of this game,
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill. 11 receptions for 215 yards and 2 touchdowns is incredible.
Especially the dagger at the end. He had the last touchdown scored and the last points scored. That's a really big play from Reek.
And he always looks like he's just running around on a playground. Everybody's chasing him. But let me just mention this. I'm not a big fan of this guy, but 466 yards passing is nothing to brush over. Tua Tagovailoa played an amazing game. And so did Justin Herbert, to be fair. 228 yards isn't something to sneeze at either. Austin Eckler, 117 yards on the ground alone.
Dog.
This was a great game, and both these teams are going to be high-scoring offenses. We knew that this year. So, the Chargers did lose this game, but I wouldn't take this as a bad game for the Chargers.
Absolutely.
The defense has to be better, simple as that. But you know that going into next week that they're going to put up points, and they're going to do it efficiently. And they're gonna be doing that the rest of the season.
Absolutely.
Same with the Dolphins.
I love
Same
that
with the
offense.
Dolphins.
Both these offenses are some of the most
electric.
fun. Yeah.
Electric. So that was, I think, our collective game of the week here.
Yeah, especially because it came down to within 2 minutes to win this game.
Yeah, true.
So that makes it electric already. Now going on to another 4:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time start was the Eagles at Patriots, where they welcomed back Tom Brady. They did a nice salute for him in a game that the Patriots lost. The story of this game, the Eagles' fast start and the Patriots' very slow start. Eagles had a pick six, a touchdown, and a field goal in the first quarter. It was 16-0. The game ended 25-20, but the biggest story was it was a nice, cute comeback that was too short, and a lot of penalties set the Patriots back in this one. And Mac Jones almost had a great fourth down play with the player being
Kendrick Bourne, I think.
Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember Bourne's first
Kendrick Bourne, I think it was almost made an incredible toe tap catch to keep
Only got one foot in
the
bounds.
Patriots in the game, but that play was something that they can probably go back to later in the year and use that in a late game situation like that. But if they convert that, I think the Patriots go down and score a touchdown there.
I do too, especially because Kendrick Bourne had a great game.
All the momentum.
And Hunter Henry had a great game. Hunter Henry had a great one-handed grab.
Yeah, we just talked about last episode how Hunter Henry wasn't what they wanted him to be, but I think he just needed to settle in a little bit.
Yeah, Hunter Henry had a great day on the field and on the line. He did some good blocks. Zeke, staying back to his original self. He's fumbling the ball again. And Ramondre Stevenson picking up where he left off.
He's a dog.
He's really good.
Yeah. All these AFC East teams are just – I think we'll get into it more, but after week 1, I don't think you can dispute that the AFC East is the best division in football. I'm going to say it right now. all the teams look good.
Yeah.
Besides one.
And they still
Yeah,
lose them.
I'll get it.
They were in 5.
You guys will hear that spiel in a little bit. But right now, we're going back out west to Seattle, where the Seahawks lost to the Rams.
Wow. Come on.
It was 30-13.
Wasn't even competitive.
Matt Stafford's back, ladies and
back.
gentlemen. I mean, he 334 yards from the kid. Kyron Williams, 2 touchdowns. He's a dog. Tutu Atwell, 119 receiving
Have
yards
a day.
on 6 receptions. He looks like a mini Tyreek Hill out there.
Yep.
I mean, they're both pretty small guys, but he looks like a Tyreek Hill Jr. Out there. I mean, Tutu Atwell looks pretty good. I remember when they drafted him, that was a whole thing about they reached on him, but he fits that scheme really well. And when Cooper Kupp comes back and he's eventually healthy, that's going to be a really good 1-2 punch. And also to mention the other wide receiver, I don't know how to pronounce his name fully. Nachua.
Oh, I don't know.
He also played a very good game. I just want to mention him because
he also had 100+ receiving yards.
yeah, he was a dog too, and I don't want to overlook how he
around
played.
108 receiving yards.
Yeah, on the Seattle side, not much to really look to.
The story of that game was the highlight of Geno Smith's. He was screaming, "Oh my God!" when Aaron Donald.
News just came out today that they signed Jason Peters, so they'll get a
wow.
little bit of line help there, a veteran guy maybe to either play for them or to just mentor guys. I mean, he's a perennial Pro Bowler, and he's going to be a really good addition for them. So hopefully the Seahawks can bounce back, but big win for the Rams week 1, shutting up the doubters and really putting their stamp on the season so far.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie. I was one of those doubters, and the Seahawks looked like they're – maybe it's the same start as last year where the Seahawks started slow and the Rams started fast, and they kind of flipped scripts, but we'll see how it ends.
A lot of new guys in that team too, so let's give the Seahawks maybe – this week, but if this happens again next week, maybe we're looking at a bad season for the Seattle Seahawks.
The Lions coming up this week. So if they're not competitive with the Lions, I don't know about the Seahawks this year. But going on to our worst game of the week, the Cowboys at the Giants. Wow. 40-0, Sunday Night Football. I was sitting there in my bed watching the national anthem. I got goosebumps.
Yeah. I did too. Yeah.
Just want to give credit to the national anthem. That was one of the greatest I've seen in a while.
That was great.
And just a good old-fashioned beatdown, an NFC East beatdown.
It was over from the start.
The second the block kick happened, that was the end of the game.
Mm-hmm. I would say there was nobody on the Giants that looked good except for their punter.
I mean, yeah, the punter, he had a lot of action. And something I just want to mention was Daniel Jones playing until the last drive of a 40-0 game.
You know what?
Are we doing, New York?
What
are we doing?
They talked about this in the broadcast a little bit towards the end of the game, but I do really respect Daniel Jones for staying in there. But at the same time, he's got to look out for himself and his health because he got sacked close to 10 times in that game. A few of them got called back as a penalties, but it was officially 7 sacks in that game. That's a lot of hits that he's taken. That was just the sacks. Not even the QB pressures, not even the QB hits, anything like that. I mean, it was just a dominating game. It was just bad. I mean, just nothing went the Giants' way. Everything went the Cowboys' way. And, I mean, they had 35 fantasy points just on their defense alone.
Even Micah Parsons was saying that Daniel Jones should have been benched after the 40-0.
Not because,
not for disrespect purposes, but for his health purposes.
Yes.
He brought up Joe Burrow being benched.
Yep.
Because they're looking out for his health. And Daniel Jones on one of the last drives got walloped.
I think a lot of that was there's actually a kind of a meme going around about Chris Collinsworth saying, I respect him for staying in the game, and then he got just absolutely obliterated by one of the third-string D linemen on the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, and Daniel Jones was out there with the second line.
Yeah, too. I mean, that's just something. If you're Dable, I understand letting your guys play and play to the last whistle. Totally respect that. Hardworking guys, but if that's your supposed franchise QB, you need to learn to take him out of the game. I mean, You're telling me that if Dable was the head coach of the Buffalo Bills, he's not going to take Allen out in this situation?
He would have.
I mean, even if Allen wants to stay in that game, you got to say, dude, we got 17 more weeks after this. We can't be focused on week 1. I get if that's maybe week 18, you want to go out and maybe show out a little bit for the fans just to give them something for next year. But I mean, you got another game to prepare for here, man. If you're not healthy because you're getting hurt in a 40-0 game, That's unacceptable. So glad there was no injuries there, but can't be doing that again. Can't be going down 40-0 in the first place. But if you get in that situation, can't be staying in the game that long.
Especially talking about injuries. Excuse me. We go from a game with the quarterback in at 40-0 to a quarterback who played 4 downs. Was it?
4 snaps.
Sorry.
4 snaps.
Yeah. Who played 4 snaps.
Can I mention one thing about this game before we get into it? Also, the national anthem in this game was incredible.
It was.
The fact that they let the fans take over for a little bit and sing
Love
the
it.
national anthem is something that, we don't see too often anymore. And one of the last times I remember is when the Sabres were playing the Bruins in Boston right after the bombing over there, and all the Bruins fans, that gave me goosebumps as an away fan. So doing both of those in Buffalo, being in both those games is a great honor as a Buffalonian and a Buffalo sports fan. But Gavin, get into your guy and into this game, and I'll give my piece in a little bit.
Yeah, so Bills at Jets. Final score of this one was 22-16. Overtime, punt return touchdown for the win. Aaron Rodgers went down on the 4th snap, and Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles, which I just feel bad for them.
Get well soon, A-Rod.
I mean, that's my favorite player ever. That one hurts to see. That one hurts to feel. I still root for him every single down that he plays for another team because of how much he did for the city of Green Bay and for the fans. He brought Lombardi home. Get well soon, A-Rod. But moving on to another character, Garrett Wilson. Wow. They were not using him, and all of a sudden give him a jump ball against Tre'Davious White, and Garrett Wilson came up with that ball. I don't know how, but wow. Garrett Wilson, have a day. You are my Offensive Player of the Year candidate, and you sure played like one on that catch. Into later after that, the Bills had a great drive to force overtime with an almost missed kick from Tyler Bass, but got the doink in. Led to the overtime where the Bills had a chance to win the game in their drive if they were to complete a touchdown, but didn't happen. Had to punt, and that punt was returned for a touchdown. Jets win. I win my prediction, and we'll get into the predictions in a second. But Charles, this is your team. What do you have to say?
Unbiased take right here. If you're looking at this game, you got to say, wow, that was, well, you could argue it was game of the week, but it was a sloppy game in general.
And this is what I said to Charles. I said, this is not game of the week because I went upstairs to my room and I told my friends, I said, wow, what a game. I said, wait, what a fourth quarter and overtime.
Great words by Gavin Williams there.
Thank you.
This is a heartbreaking loss. I'm not going to overstate it. I know it's week 1, but this is a heartbreaking loss. This is the divisional game. I know you're on the road, but what happened last night cannot happen. It cannot happen, especially after everything that has been said this offseason about the hunger and the heart and the willingness to win. The Buffalo Bills showed me none of that yesterday. And let me just rephrase this, actually. Josh Allen didn't show me that at all yesterday.
4 turnovers.
He had 4 turnovers, including one where he just was not even looking at the ball and just hit off his chest and didn't pick it up. 3 picks, and a few bright spots here before I really get in deep into it. Matt Milano, incredible game.
Wow.
Stephon Diggs, incredible game.
Have a day.
I thought James Cook played decently well. I mean, he's
good.
looking to be our RB1 of the future right now. And Tyler Bass played a pretty good game too. I love the special teams guys, but this game is on Josh Allen, and he takes credibility for everything that he does, and I really respect him for that. But at what point are we going to say, what are you going to do about it? He's saying all this stuff like, I need to be better, and talking about how he's going to take care of his body more, take care of the ball more. He did none of that yesterday. So when are we going to sit back and say, show us, please. Show us. We know he has the tools to do it. We know he has the tools to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback for this franchise. But right now, he's just not showing it, and it's not good enough. I'm not saying we get a new QB. I'm not saying anything like that. That's just absurd to say that about a top 3 QB, top 4 QB in the league. But right now, we need more. We need more. We didn't have any heart yesterday. We played like we were playing the old Jets. This isn't the same old Jets. This isn't the same old Zach Wilson. He's been mentored by Aaron Rodgers for a few months and will continue to be mentored by him for the rest of the season. Just because A-Rod's hurt doesn't mean he's not going to be in the building. He's still going to be there talking to Zach Wilson. If you watched Hard Knocks, you know how much Zach Wilson embraced that backup role, and now he's back to the starter. His ego is not changed now from the backup mentality. He knows he's still fighting for a job somewhere in the NFL, but right now it's with the Jets. They just had more heart than us. They wanted it more than us, and I don't see the Bills. I don't see anything from them that says, yeah, we're going to win the Super Bowl this year. I really don't, and it's sad to say after week 1, but I need them to show me that they actually want to win. I didn't see that yesterday. Especially in the fourth quarter. I mean, we let our foot off the gas. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And one more thing. This game eerily reminded me of the 2019 playoff game against the Houston Texans. Back and forth game, close at half, and then late in the fourth, Texans take over, Jets take over. Guess what? Last drive of the game, go down, kick, game-tying kick as time expires, right? Same thing. Go into overtime, win the coin toss, take the ball, mess up our first drive, don't score any points, give it back to their team. They score in a miraculous way, and that's the game right there. Very similar games. I mean, it's just a tough loss by the Buffalo Bills. But we got the Raiders next week, and we're on at the Raiders now. It's a loss. It's a tough loss. It's a loss nonetheless, but we got to move on.
I will also like to point out, with Aaron Rodgers going down, my predictions are probably pretty much toast. I had them going to the AFC Championship. So
Who knows? Who knows?
I mean, you never know with Zach Wilson, but I think we kind of know. But, hey, I mean, here we go. And so that was the recap. And with our predictions, because of the JETS, Jets, we tied on the week.
9-7, which, honestly, for week 1, where it's, I don't want to say random, but you don't know much about the teams and how they're going to perform this year. I feel like that's pretty good from both of us. 500. Finishing over 500. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty proud of 9-7.
I'm pleased.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Jim Fisher here.
I feel like Sean Tucker. Right, I'm pleased with my performance.
Pleased with my performance, Sean Tucker. Shout out to Sean Tucker.
Yeah, he's on the Bucs too.
Yeah, he is. Big win from the Bucs this week. So let's just get into next week and what we're looking forward to here. I mean, Thursday night we got Vikings at Eagles.
I have the Eagles absolutely monkey stomping them.
I don't think they monkey stop them, but I think they get
if
a dub.
If they play the same way they played against the Bucs, Kirk Cousins better be running
for
his life. And by the way, this is a definite Eagles win because Kirk Cousins in primetime, enough said.
Wow. You like that. Next game, Ravens at Bengals. This should be one of the better games of the week, I think.
Should be.
Bounce back game from the Bengals. I have them winning this week.
I do too. I have the Bengals winning.
Really? Okay.
It's a 1 o'clock game.
1 o'clock game.
It's home for the Bengals.
We said that too. I mean, this is a big matchup in the AFC North. And being at home, I think gives the Bengals a slight edge.
And I like Joe Burrow still. Obviously, I said earlier, come on, 3 points.
Everybody has bad games,
Everybody has bad games.
Yeah.
And this is going to be Joe Burrow's I told you so. Don't worry, I'm here.
I'm still here.
Yep. Next game is Seahawks at the Lions. Charles, who you got?
At the Lions. I mean, I'm assuming you do too.
I do too.
Yeah, I mean, simple as that. I mean, the Lions, it's hard to not pick them when they won on opening night on the road.
And they're going home.
And they're playing at home, and that Ford Field's going to be rocking.
Yeah.
Seattle, it would take a lot for them to go in there after the performance last week and pick up a dub there, but I see the Lions pulling this one out.
Yeah, I do the same.
Next game is kind of a big one, honestly. Colts at Texans, big for developmental reasons.
Yeah, 2 rookie QBs.
2 rookie QBs.
Going at each other.
I originally had the Texans winning, and then I consulted with our Colts insider, Ian Kennedy, and he swayed me to pick the Colts. So I'm going with the Colts here, and it was a very unbiased take. He just said that the Colts just looked
a lot
better. They played a better team. Well, that's a controversial take it by itself, but They played an arguably better team, and they put up way more points, and they actually finished drives. The Texans didn't do that last week. So, I mean, I think the Texans might get Dalton Schultz more involved. He only had 2 receptions for 4 yards, I think, and C.J. Stroud just needs to put the ball in the end zone.
Yeah, I also had the Colts, but I didn't have to consult with our friend because I knew the Colts were going to win this one. So, go Colts. I really hope they get it done because I'm a big fan of Anthony Richardson and MPJ on my fantasy team. Next game, the Chicago Bears at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Charles, I want to know who you have for this one.
I have the Bears. I don't know. I feel like the Bucs can't really do it again. We've seen it before when teams win unexpectedly week 1. The Pittsburgh Steelers against the Bills, but it's just, I don't know. The Bucs don't really appeal to me still. Even after that win, I don't think. I mean, the Vikings didn't play well, but I think the Bears are going to have a bounce back game here. And I know it kind of seems weird that team losing by 20 and team winning by double 2 scores, and I don't know. The Bears win this game, I think.
I have the Bucs. I actually do have the Bucs in this game.
I figured you did, I think.
And reason being is they're home. They're in Raymond James Stadium. I like Baker. He played a great job. He did a great job week 1. He gave the ball to Mike Evans. He gave the ball to Chris Godwin. Their offense looks good. I'm not going to say great. They look good. And the story of this game is Justin Fields, whether he can get in the end zone or not. And if he does, Bears win. If he doesn't, Bucs win. So I'm going to take the Bucs because the Bucs also played great defense against the Vikings. Next game is the Chiefs at Jaguars, which, Charles, what did you say about the Chiefs earlier?
I said it's one of their hardest away games the whole year. And
That's crazy.
It's legitimately true if you look at their schedule. It's unreal the disparity that they have in their schedule every single season. I will keep going into it. I'm not using it as an excuse. It's just the facts. If you look at it, they shouldn't be playing the Bills and the Bengals at home every single time that they play.
This is very true.
But with that being said, I have the Chiefs winning here, actually.
I also do.
Yeah, I think they have a bounce-back game, and I don't think Patrick Mahomes is capable of starting a season off 0-2.
No, he won't.
I think Trevor Lawrence is
I think
starting 1-1.
Travis Kelce will be coming back.
You think?
I do.
All right, that's a toss-up right now, but I
toss-up.
still have the Chiefs winning.
Even if he's not there, I still have the Chiefs winning.
Yes. Your team, Green Bay Packers, at the Atlanta Falcons. Assuming you have the Packers here?
I do have the Packers here. I really liked a lot what I saw last week. It was a lot of promise. Jordan Love, he's the guy in town. A lot of memes about the new certified Bears owner. Love that. And I see the Falcons as like a very young team. Packers are a very young team, but with the spice of some veterans. So Aaron Jones, Dave Bakhtiari, Devondre Campbell, some great vets on this team are going to help beat this young Falcons team.
I have the Falcons here, actually. And the main reason is they struggled, and they still won by 14 points.
That's true.
Both games are at home. They played last week at home. They're playing this week at home. And they're playing a better team, though, this time. I think it's going to be a closer game, but I do think the Falcons still come out with the win. I think that Drake London has a better game. I think Desmond Ridder gets a little bit more relaxed. I think Bijan goes off again, silences his haters.
Yeah. Bijan's going to be a lot for the Packers defense.
And Kyle Pitts, too. I think he played a pretty good game, too. Yeah, so,
he hit a couple deep balls, actually.
That offense seems to be kind of clicking if everybody's going. If they get Drake London more involved, I mean, they got some legit weapons on that offense.
I think this is going to be a very close game.
Yeah.
Next game is the Raiders at your Bills.
Man. Oh, man.
Who do you have winning this one?
Bills. I got the Bills winning this game, but, I just want to pick against them now, but I'm not going to. I had the Bills winning this game. Pretty handily, too.
Yeah, I think the Bills win by at least 2 scores.
A lot of the times when we lose a heartbreaking game, we'll come back, but I don't know if this team has the heart, but I guess we'll see. I guess they have to show me. They have to show me at this point.
So for the next game, we have the Chargers at the Titans, and I have the Chargers in this one too.
It's not going to be close. I think they might put up 40 points.
I think they will.
I think it's going to be. I think I'm going to give a prediction right here. I think it's going to be 42-13 Chargers.
I got 42-10 Chargers.
All right.
I think this is the bounce back game for the Chargers defense.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big game for their defense. If they can't stop Ryan Tannehill after throwing 3 picks, not looking good for their defense the whole year. 49ers at Rams.
I think this is the slept-on game.
It is a very slept-on game because the Rams looked very good, but the Niners looked even better.
Yeah, I still have the Niners.
Yeah, I have the Niners too. So I think it'll actually be a really close game, though, especially in
I think
LA.
it'll be a one-score game.
I think it'll, yeah. I think it'll be one of those games where the Niners will start off hot, the Rams will come back a little bit, make it interesting, and then the Niners will just finish the job.
Yeah, if I had to do a score prediction, it'd be 31-24.
Somewhere around there, seems like.
Next game is the Giants at the Cardinals, and I have a very, very hard time to think about the Giants losing this game. I mean, I know how bad they just played, but they're playing the Cardinals. So I got the Giants.
This game's in Arizona, though. No, I'm kidding. I have the Giants winning this game. Yeah, that was their fluke game of the year, I think. I think they're going to be a really solid team this year still. I think they're going to go 9-6, 10-5 the rest of the way.
Okay.
So I think they're still going to be a playoff team, but they got to show me something this week, especially against the struggling organization and struggling team in the Cardinals.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the next game we had, which was supposed to be a great shootout game, but won't be.
Could be.
It could be, but I don't think it will be.
Jets at Cowboys.
I have the Cowboys.
Cowboys, yeah.
I do not like saying that.
I think the Cowboys will. I mean, if the Jets win this week, they're legit.
Yeah.
They are legit, and I'm nervous about that. So I'm kind of rooting for the Cowboys this week, which is crazy to say because I don't really love them, but gotta root for teams against your divisional opponents.
Yeah, and I'm still rooting for the Jets here because Aaron Rodgers is still a Jet.
He is.
And I still hate the Cowboys.
And he'll probably, I mean, I don't know if he'll be in the sideline, but he'll definitely be with the team.
Yeah.
I know he's got he probably have surgery soon, but get well soon, A-Rod, once again.
Get well soon.
Never like to see that, especially because we got robbed of a great season of Aaron Rodgers here. I mean, he's getting older. I mean, who knows how long he's going to play, and
who knows if he'll ever step on the field again.
Who knows if he's going to step on the field again. It's going to be weird. One of those weird things like, hey, remember when Aaron Rodgers was a Jet for 4 snaps? Yeah. So, all jokes aside, get better, A-Rod, and
get better.
We'll see you soon, I guess. Commanders at Broncos here.
I have a Broncos bounce back win.
I do too. I think that this is also going to be a close game, similar to last week, but I think the Broncos finish the job this time.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit more scoring. It'll probably be like a 24-20 game.
Yeah, around there.
Something around
21-20.
Yeah, something like that. But this is a game where I see Jerry Jeudy coming back, and I see Courtland Sutton really being that true number 2 receiver that he is. And I like the Broncos in this one.
I do too. Dolphins at Pats. I got the Dolphins here.
What are we doing? Sunday Night Football?
Yeah.
Come on.
I think it'll be a better game than people give it credit, but only for the first half. Yeah. I think that the Dolphins in the second half will be like, hey, what are we doing here?
I think they'll put up pretty high 30s again.
Yeah, I think they'll do that most games this year. I think you'll be shocked when they don't put up 30 or 28 in a game.
Yeah.
But the Patriots defense, if they have anything to say about it, I mean, it's the divisional game. Anything can happen here. Yeah. So it's good. I think it's a good matchup for Sunday Night Football in week 2, but I think the Dolphins still come out with a dub here, even in New England.
Yep, I agree. Next matchup is the Saints at the Panthers.
The first of a doubleheader on Monday night, which I love. I love. Awesome. More football is great football. I'll say that.
Absolutely.
So Saints at Panthers. Saints.
I have the Panthers.
You have the Panthers?
I do
really?
have the Panthers.
Wow.
That is my team of the week, or the Carolina Panthers.
And so first home game for Bryce Young.
And that's where I think that rookie QB is going to look more like a seasoned vet. And I know you were really high on Derek Carr, but I really didn't see too much I loved out of him. And I think this is going to be a closer game than people think, because people think the Saints are just going to blow them out of the water. I don't think so. I have the Panthers here, actually.
I think the Saints win by 8-10 points around there. But I didn't see enough out of the Panthers last week where I think they can beat this Saints team. And that's tough to start 0-2 as your overall record, but tougher to start 0-2 as your divisional record too.
Yeah.
So this is a massive game for the Panthers here.
I got the Panthers kicking a game-winning field goal in this one.
I want to hear your thoughts on this next game first before I go into mine, because I have a reason why.
Yeah. So we have Browns at Steelers, which I think is going to be an amazing game. And I'm going with the Browns here. because I really liked what I saw out of Deshaun Watson. Yeah, Deshaun Watson, he had a lot of heart. He still had a touchdown. He had an interception. And he only had 154 yards, but that was in horrible conditions. I'm kind of relying on that not happening again. And I did not like a lot of the Steelers because even that they lost, the Steelers were supposed to have a good defense. They still I know the 49ers are a really good team. They could go to the Super Bowl this year, but I don't know. If you let anybody put 30 points on you and you're not close in the game, I don't see a lot. TJ Watt was the only man doing anything on that defense. And I have the Browns winning this game.
I have the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game, and I got a lot of flack for it back in the dorm from everybody, but stood my ground. I think that they have their defense especially has a big bounce back game. But if you look at those stats of that game, Najee Harris was not involved at all, and George Pickens was not super involved either, or at least he wasn't getting the receptions. I think that'll all change. Kenny Pickett threw the ball a absurd amount of times. I think it was around high 40s, or he's in the 40s for sure. But I don't know. I think he'll have a bounce back game, and Monday night game in the AFC North in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's a big one.
That's a big one, and they hate the Browns there, especially and they hate Myles Garrett there because of what he did to Mason Rudolph. So that's another driving force, and I don't know. I feel like something about the Steelers team in primetime games at home is just a little bit different. So I'm going with the Steelers here. It's a risky pick, just like your Carolina pick.
Yep.
But something about it. Something about it. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, so, this week I feel like we have a couple more differences in the teams, which is always more fun for the record. See how that's going to end up at the end of the week.
It's going to be very interesting. Could be a lot different than tied.
Yep, it could. So I think that about wraps us up for today, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to shoot us a follow and a comment on Instagram. Give us some feedback, some criticisms, some ideas you want for future episodes. The Instagram is at Out of Bounds Podcast with a dot in between every single word.
Yes, there is, Gavin. And thank you guys for listening once again, and have a great day.
Have a great one. Have a day.